At the law firm Ropes& Gray, employees now generate over 282,000 AI prompts every single month. Meanwhile, over at Citigroup, automated code reviews are saving their engineers 100,000 hours a week. These figures represent a massive shift in usage, and they have very little to do with seat counts or enterprise licensing budgets. Growth at this scale comes from employees moving past curiosity and into repeatable habits. Most corporate AI rollouts follow a predictable timeline. Executives purchase the software, the IT department sends out a generic training email, and a few curious employees test it out for a day or two. By the end of the week, that expensive new tool quietly becomes just another ignored browser tab. The friction here is what we can call the Tuesday at 2 p.m. problem. A generic training session on how a chatbot functions does not help an employee who is staring down a 5 p.m. deadline to review a heavily redlined vendor contract. The barrier between basic awareness and a daily habit often appears at the point where general AI training meets a specific high-pressure job function. To bridge that gap, organizations like Citigroup and Ropes & Gray rely on an internal network of AI champions. These are regular employees, not IT staff, who figure out how to use the tools for their department's specific workflow and become the go-to experts for their peers. Workplace analytics show that when adoption is driven by peer-led networks, sustained usage is roughly 2.1 times higher than a top-down IT mandate. Additionally, generic instruction yields only 23% sustained adoption, while role-specific training jumps to 67%. An IT department can teach an employee where the login button is, but only a peer sitting nearby understands the exact parameters and pressures of the actual work. This prompt-to-workflow curve maps adoption stage against business value. Curiosity prompts at the bottom teach the interface, but yield zero productivity. Habit prompts in the middle are where pilots die. Only at the peak do workflow prompts tie repeatable instructions directly to recurring tasks for reliable output. A true workflow prompt is built on 3 specific elements: a strict input, a strictly defined output format, and rules for edge cases, like whether to flag a billing error or escalate it to a human manager. Champions are the catalyst capable of pushing a team to this final peak, because only they can provide those highly specific, localized edge case rules. Achieving 6-figure prompt volumes does not require a multi-million-dollar enterprise contract, and you don't need a formal 60-person champion network to start. The first actionable step is to isolate exactly one high-friction recurring task, like formatting a weekly report. Trying to adopt AI broadly across all workflows at once is a guaranteed way to stall out. Next, write the prompt down and test it. When the first output is flawed, adjust the instructions. You have to mandate revising the prompt at least twice to overcome those initial bad outputs. Once it reliably works, save that refined prompt into a shared team repository. The goal is to ensure the next person who needs to do that task never has to reinvent the wheel. Then, name an informal champion, even if it is just yourself. You simply need one designated peer who can answer localized operational questions when someone gets stuck. Finally, shift your metric of success. Raw prompt volume means very little. 500 shallow prompts are drastically less valuable than a single workflow prompt that saves 4 hours on a contract review. Sustained productivity scales when one person solves a slow task and then teaches the person sitting right next to them how to do the same.